beauty, welcome back to my channel. I have about 5 minutes for this video, but I really wanted to share with you some of the books that I have gotten recently. I haven't done a book haul since I think the beginning of June. I know I've gotten a lot of books in that time, and I'm probably not going to remember all of them. Some of them I have read and reviewed and talked about since, but I kind of want to do this just for my own records, just to share and show you some of the books that I have gotten. So, books that I have read so far and talked about, but I want to mention this memoir called A Dream Too Big. The author is Kaylin Lewis Moore, and he is from Compton, California, and he grew up in pretty impoverished circumstances. Like, sometimes it's a little unimaginable that people grow up in the United States without access to basic amenities like hot water to bathe. But, you know, he talks about growing up in really dire circumstances because his parents separated, and he and his mother and his siblings went to live with his mother's family. And there were so many people in the house that nobody really took responsibility for things that were happening. And like, there were many days when he went to bed hungry. There were days and weeks and months when they didn't have running water or hot water because no one wanted to fix the faucets and so on. So he grew up poor, but always had a vision for what he wanted to accomplish in his life, and he believed that he could work towards his goals. And so eventually he started playing football, and he thought that he would be able to go to college with a football scholarship, and eventually he did. But he also focused on his academic career, and he succeeded to the point where he became a Rhodes Scholar, went to Oxford to study. And it's just such an inspiring story, not just because of what this young man was able to accomplish, but the fact that he never believed that his dream was too big. So I love the title and the way the book is arranged, in that the chapters are titled after the questions that were asked of him during the Rhodes Scholar interview. And I just think it's fascinating. I hope more people will pick up this book. It is A Dream Too Big, the story of an improbable journey from Compton to Oxford. And full disclosure, I got this from the publisher, but this is a book that I'd love to share with other people as well. Other books that I have gotten from publishers. This is The Doctor of Aleppo by Dan Malin, and this is American author. Dan Malin is a white man, and he's writing about a difficult subject. It's international, so there are people who would say that they would like to read more own voices books from these places in the world, but I don't think Dan Malin is appropriating the scholarship or appropriating the story. He's talking about something that he knows about. He's done a lot of research about international politics, and he's not writing the story of the Syrian people as though he was Syrian. As a matter of fact, one of the main characters in this book is a Syrian American woman who, her father is from Syria, but she grew up in the United States, and so she has this curiosity, I suppose, about Syria, and she goes to Syria to work with government projects there, trying to build parks in inner city communities to kind of bring hope to the children. And at the same time, the politics of the country is just imploding. And so we have what is happening in the country from the perspective of someone who's not completely from the country. Another character is this woman's co-worker, who's another European, well, not another, he's a European man. And so this Syrian American woman and this European man, they get involved with what's happening just because they've been in Syria working, and it's an interesting story. We also meet a lot of Syrian characters. I don't know why I keep covering up her face. We meet a lot of Syrian characters in this book, and I feel like even though we might not get the full story because we are reading from the perspective of an American author, he does a lot to expose some of the hardships, the struggles, the complexities of living in this time and place. The title character, the Doctor of Aleppo, is a Syrian man who has dedicated his life to serving his country. that he wants to provide care for the citizens, but because there are so little services left, a lot of the professional people, a lot of the people with means have already left the country. It is left to the people who are remaining to take care of not just the citizens, but also the people that the citizens are fighting against in this revolution. So we have this doctor who, for his own principles, he wants to help just regular people, the civilians. He wants to help the civilians, but he is also tasked with working for the soldiers who get hurt. And it's just interesting how, you know, mistakes are made and blame is levied on people who don't deserve it when situations don't go the way some people want them to go. So I really enjoyed this. Again, I read this because I got this copy from the publisher, but it's awakened an interest in me because I want to read more from this part of the world. I want to know more about Syrian refugees and, you know, why their refugee status started and what we've been doing and if we've been doing enough to help them. So there are a lot of titles, there are a lot of books with Aleppo in the title. And if you're not familiar, Aleppo is a city in Syria. And so there are opportunities to read more own voices stories, but I'm glad that I read that one because it made me want to pick up more from that place. So this was a copy that I won. The publisher is Farah Strauss and Guru, and this book is Luster. It's a novel by Raven Lalani. This is an African-American woman, and she's a young woman, but she writes with the confidence of a much more established author. This is about a young woman, just very similar to the author, a young black woman with some Caribbean roots, and she is trying to figure out her way in the world, trying to figure out how to use her powers to accomplish what she wants in her life. And so we have this young woman who, she's an artist, she's a visual artist, but she's not working with her talent. So she's working in an office, and I guess because she is not using her gifts, she's not living up to her purpose, she is feeling very unfulfilled. And so she starts she has these encounters, very random, it seems, encounters with people that she works with, almost as though she's trying to get fired. And she starts seeing a man who is married and who is in an open relationship. So his wife knows that he is now seeing this young woman. And eventually, our main character starts a relationship with both the man and his wife. Not sexual relationships, but intimate relationships. And she ends up meeting their child, and there is some racial discussion because the couple are white and they've adopted a black child, and so, you know, it's as though they want to use her for the fact that she can bring information about black culture to their child. And so there's a lot of discussion about race and intimacy and marriage and what relationships and how relationships come about and what we do to sustain them. There are some things about this book that were a little off-putting. I didn't necessarily like the subject. I didn't like the characters. But the writing is so interesting. The author is a very smart young woman, and she incorporates a lot of her knowledge into how she writes her prose, and so it was pretty interesting to read, even though I didn't necessarily like the things that I was reading about. So, Luster by Raven Lalani. This is a pretty new release, and I hope more people will try this. It's not a book for everyone. It's not a book for everyone. It's difficult sometimes to read about people who are so talented, self-sabotaging, and so yeah, that's not necessarily a book for everyone. There are other things in this book that may be a little triggering, especially in the way that relationships and marriage are discussed. And there are some positives and some negatives to this book, but I hope more people will at least try it out. And so those are books that I have read and talked about. Other books that I'm in the process of reading, The Awkward Black Man by Walter Mosley. This was newly released. This is Walter Mosley. He's an African-American man, and he is very well known for his fiction. He's written lots of books. He has I don't know if it's one or multiple series of novels, and this is my first time reading anything from him, so I'm glad that I'm starting with his short stories. And this is really interesting. It is, again, short stories about men, male characters, which I found pretty interesting, the way this author is presenting these men who are not necessarily likable in every way or most ways, or maybe even any way, but they are sensitive, they are vulnerable characters, and so we're learning how they think, how they process. So we're seeing them in their domestic environments and in their work environments, and seeing how they're kind of putting themselves out there and sharing their hopes and dreams and frustrations and yearnings, and it is really interesting so far. I haven't finished, but I'm going to be finishing pretty soon because I need to review this one. But hoping more people will check this out as well. This is a really good way, I think, to learn about Walter Mosley as an author through his short fiction. Okay, so those are books that I have read or am reading. I read this and I'm going to be rereading it, so I haven't talked too much about it here, but Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. This one is about racial inequity in the United States, and Wilkerson compares the experience of blacks in the United States to the experience of Jews during Nazi-run Germany, and the experience of the caste system in India. And it is really interesting the way she talks about how black people are discriminated against because of the color of their skin and because of the circumstances of their birth, that no matter what they do, there are places that they will never escape the basic birthright, which is the color of their skin, and ergo the section of the hierarchy that they occupy. So it's a very interesting book. You know, it is a big book. I don't know how to summarize it in just a couple of sentences, but this is a book that I'm hoping that everyone will read at some point. I got that one from Book of the Month Club recently. I also picked up Transcendent Kingdom by Jesse, and I haven't read this one yet, and so I can't tell you about the synopsis, but I just wanted to show it to you because it's a pretty, it's pretty, and I'm excited about it. So, is it nap time? Almost. Okay. So, books that I have gotten from publishers, other books. I got Carrie by Toni Jensen. This is a memoir by a Native American woman, and she is Métis. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that. Metis with an accent on the E. So Toni Jensen, she is an Native American, and it says that, I mean, I don't think we call Native Americans American Indians, but it says that she teaches in the MFA programs at the University of Arkansas and the Institute of American Indian Arts. So I'm not sure, but this is her memoir, and I'm looking forward to reading it very soon. And I got this one from Penguin Random House, so yeah, I'm going to be reading that very soon. Other books that I've gotten from Penguin Random House, Regina Porter is an African-American woman, and this novel, entitled The Travelers, is about two families becoming intertwined through the marriage of an Irish-American man and an African-American woman, I think. And so I'm looking forward to reading about this mixed-race family, and we'll be talking about that very soon. Other books that I have gotten from Penguin Random House include this one, American Dreams, and this is a collection of handwritten letters or statements, handwritten statements by some Americans about what the American dream means. And so this has their portraits along with their handwritten statements. And the day that it came, my husband went through it, and I think he read the whole thing in an afternoon. I just haven't gotten a chance to go through it myself yet, but I know it is engrossing because My husband read it. And so yeah, I got that one from Penguin Random House as well. Then I got some other books from other publishers. This is independent publisher, Emanate Books. I got this one because of TLC Book Tours. And this is Breathe Again. This is Choosing to Believe There's More When Life Has Left You Broken. The author is Stacey Hennigan. And she's a... Dada went to work. She's a pastor. And so she's going to be talking about what to do when it seems that God hasn't come through for you. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm going to be reading it pretty soon, so I wanted to share it with you here. And then the last two books are from National Geographic, and I'm just so excited about receiving them. First one is the 2021 Almanac, and this is almost 400 pages of information about Earth and space, and beautiful full-color pictures with information, and there's just so much to love about this book. And I feel like this is a book that I'm going to be giving to my brother-in-law for Christmas. So I don't think he watches my videos, so that's good. He is someone who's really interested in science like me, and we have conversations about different things about the earth, so I think that he's going to love this one. And then the last book that I want to share with you before she completely goes away is the Family Reference Atlas of the World. This is also from National Geographic, so there are beautiful images and pictures and maps, of course, and it is fantastic as a resource. I spent many hours as a child studying the atlas, and this gift that I'm hoping to be able to give my daughter as well as she grows up. So I'm so excited to have this book. I don't know, maybe I'm not communicating exactly how excited I am about this book, but I'm really excited about having the National Geographic's Atlas, Family Reference Atlas. You know, like I said, I loved reading this when I was a child. Some of the countries that exist now did not exist when I was a child, and of course the opposite as well. Like my atlas from my teen years would have included the Soviet Union as a country. You know, that's not so anymore. So looking forward to studying this for myself, as well as learning some things and being able to teach them to my daughter. And so yeah, these are some of the books that I have gotten recently. Thank you so much for watching this video and for indulging me with checking out the books that I have gotten. And I do have another video like this one to make, where I'm going to be talking about books that I have gotten by Caribbean authors, because like I said, I haven't posted a haul video since June, and in June I was reading books by Caribbean authors and also buying them. So I have some books by Caribbean authors to share with you here as well. That's going to be my next haul video. So thank you so much, and I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. Let me know which book you have acquired recently, whether physical format or ebook, that you are probably most excited to own. So let's chat in the comments, and until next time, happy reading. Bye!